Hello. Hello everybody and welcome. Welcome to PlanBee Live Learning Session 20. Thank you so much for joining me. My name is Ollie and I am a former teacher and a resource creator at planbee.com. But today I'm going to be your art teacher. If you're here for the first time, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. And if you've been here before, welcome back. We're going to have a great session today, which is aimed at children in Year 3 and Year 4, based on one of our lesson planning packs that we have at planbee.com. But younger and older learners will get a lot out of today's session as well. We're going to be starting in a few minutes, but we'll just allow some time for people to arrive and for me to explain a few things. Before we get started properly, I do have a task for all of our learners taking part here today to get stuck into immediately, and that is to have a look at some artwork. Let me show you. Okay. So this is just for our learners, and then I'm going to talk to parents who are hopefully joining us and supervising today as well. So I'm going to show you some pictures, and I want you to think about the artist and what you think you might be able to learn about the artist by looking at their work. So when you look at these pictures, have a think. Do you think the artist is a man or a woman? And why? Do you think that if they're confident, do you think they're confident people, or do you think they're shy? And why? Do you think the artist is young or old? And when do you think these paintings were actually painted? I'll flick through a few now, and you can either just have a think about them and see what you notice. You can tell me some things that you notice in the chat or respond to these questions. Or if you're working with somebody at home, then you can talk to them about what you can see. Here are the first couple for you to look at now. These are portraits. And while you're looking at those and thinking about the questions I asked you, I'll just have a quick chat with parents. So parents, welcome. Hopefully you're in some way keeping an eye on your children during these supervised sessions and taking part a little bit as well. In the description below is a link to the resources that we give away for free with these sessions. And you can download those via that first link in the description. They're not necessary for today's session. As with all of these live learning sessions that we're doing here on YouTube, we appreciate it can be difficult to get hold of certain things at home. And so all you will really need is paper, pencils, and ideally some colouring pencils or felt tip pens, although if you have paints, that will do as well. There's also a link to our home learning enrolment form in the description below, and I'd really strongly encourage you, if you haven't already, to sign up via that link, because we send out free home learning resources, tips and advice from our team of teachers, as well as information about these upcoming sessions. What else do we have? We have our email address in the description below. That's homelearning@planbee.com. homelearning@planbee.com. And we always give that out because it's lovely if you're able to send in some photos of your children working, or just of their work that they've actually done during these sessions, and we like to share that towards the end of these, have a look at them together. It's one of my favourite bits. So parents, please do that if you would like to. Just bear in mind though that by sending in that these photos that you give permission for us to share them, obviously, and just bear in mind your children's privacy. So perhaps try to avoid surnames or any details that give away where you live, that kind of thing. Let's have a look at a couple more of these pictures and then we'll get started. Here are 3 more portraits, and you might be starting to notice something about the style of these pictures. There is something that they have in common, isn't there? So, a couple more pictures to look at before we get started proper, and a couple of last things for me to tell you about. Today, joining me on the live chat is my teacher colleague Abby, and Abby is going to help hopefully answer some of your questions if I don't get to them, and it's there to moderate our conversation as well. So that's so that we keep it a safe, productive, happy, friendly environment here. I think we'll get started. Here are 3 more pictures just for you to have a look at now. I can see that we have some wonderful comments about these pictures, actually. I think the artist might have felt sad. Interesting. They are dark. There are some dark colours in these pictures, yes. Okay, here we go. Let's get started on our main learning for today's session. We are learning about an artist called Sonia Delauney. And here's what we're aiming to learn today. We're going to learn about the Delauneys and Orphism. Orphism, that's an interesting word, isn't it? Let's see what that word means. So, here's a little bit of information about Sonia Delauney. We're going to go back to this. Sorry, bear with me. I wanted to share some information about Sonia Delauney. Now, here we go. I'm going to disappear off screen. This is Sonia Delauney. She was the artist who painted all of the portraits that you were looking at, and she was born in the Ukraine in 1885. So that's almost 140 years ago that she was born. The portraits were all painted between 1907 and 1908 when Sonia was in her early 20s. Now let's have a little look at some information about her early life. So, she was born to a poor Jewish family living in the Ukraine. Can you see the Ukraine on this map of Europe? Aged 5, she was sent to live with her wealthy uncle in St. Petersburg in Russia so that she could receive a better education. And in 1900 she was actually adopted by her uncle and she changed her name to Sonia Turk. Goodness, can you imagine, aged 5, how Sonia must have felt being sent far away to live with another relative? But in St. Petersburg, Sonia was able to visit museums and art galleries, and then she travelled around Europe, spending her summers in Finland. And you might be able to see Finland on the map as well. When she was 18, her art teacher noticed that Sonia had talent and encouraged her uncle to send her to Germany for more art training. And it was in Germany where she studied for 2 more years before deciding to move to Paris, France. So she moved and lived all over Europe, didn't she? By the time she was 18, she could speak Russian, French, English, and German. Isn't that incredible? I wonder how many of you know some foreign words or are learning to speak a second language. So look, here's some more of the work by other artists that influenced Sonia. Do you notice something in common between these pictures and the portraits by Sonia Delauney herself? I can see some things in common straight away. Each of the artists that inspired her were using vivid, often non-naturalistic colours and bold brushstrokes to create expression and emotion in their work. The style of painting was called Fauvism. And have a look at these pictures again. Can you see any similarities between the artworks and Sonia's early portraits? So, she married a German art dealer and collector called Wilhelm Ude. They were good friends, but they were not in love. It seems it was a marriage of convenience, so that Sonia's family, who did not approve of her art career, could not force her to return to Russia. Wow. In 1909, Sonia met Robert Delauney, a French artist, and they fell in love. And after divorcing her first husband, Sonia married Robert in 1910 when they were both 25 years old. And they were both artists and they inspired each other. So their marriage started marked the start of a period in Sonia's life where she found her own unique style of art. So let's have a look more at that unique style now. Here we go. Sonia and her husband Robert both began to experiment with using colourful shapes to communicate meaning in their work, rather than painting something how it actually looked. And this type of art, just like the art that some of the artists that inspired her went on to create, is called abstract art. The Delauneys practiced a particular branch of this art called Orphism. There's that word. They focused on using geometric shapes, bright colours, and light to try to create a sense of rhythm and movement in a piece of art. Can you see some geometric shapes in this work of art from 1915? What geometric shapes can you see? Can you spot any in this picture? You could tell me in the chat, or you can tell someone who you're working with at home, perhaps. Yeah. Circles, they're important, which we'll go on to find out more about. The Delauneys were particularly interested in how colours could be made to look different, depending on the other colours that were placed around them. Now, I'd like you to look really carefully. Which blue circle is the lightest in colour? Look at these two blue circles. Which is the lightest in colour? The left or the right circle? The left circle or the right circle? Tell me now, or tell someone in the chat, which one do you think is the lightest? One looks lighter to me. Does one look lighter to you? Well, I've got a bit of a surprise for you. Here we go. Both of these circles are actually the same shade of blue, but it's the colours surrounding them that make them seem otherwise. That's interesting. Lots of you said the left circle, because to me, the left circle looked darker and the right circle looked lighter. I guess it's different for everyone. This is a colour illusion. Colour illusions are images where surrounding colours trick our eyes into making an incorrect interpretation of that colour. And the way in which two or more colours are combined can greatly affect our visual experience of them. This is something that Sonia Delauney played with a lot. Now, some of you might recognise this. It's a colour wheel. And we're going to talk about complementary colours on the colour wheel. Complementary colours are colours that are directly opposite each other on the colour wheel. For example, blue, where my mouse is pointing now, and orange. They are on opposite sides of the colour wheel, so they are complementary colours. Can you see some other complementary pairs of colours on this colour wheel? Complementary colours contrast strongly with each other. They create a vibrant effect due to how dissimilar they are. Dissimilar. Harmonious colours. Look at this. There's a different set of colours that have been circled on the colour wheel now. These three, and these three, and these three. Harmonious colours consist of two or more colours that are near to each other on the colour wheel. For example, tones of green and yellow, red and orange, or purple and blue. And harmonious colours are similar to one another. They are pleasing to the eye and create a calm, soothing effect. Do you think that the Delauneys used complementary colours? That's those opposite, dissimilar colours. Harmonious colours. That's these similar, calm, soothing ones. Or do you think they used a mixture of both? Well, let's have a look. This painting by Sonia Delauney is entitled Lavelle Boulier, and it was painted between 1912 and 1913. What do you think is going on in this painting? What shapes can you see? And can you see any complementary or harmonious colours being used together here? What mood does it create? Looking carefully at this picture now, what do you notice? I'll go here. Oh, that's a really good question. Are they dancing? I can see what I think are shapes that are meant to be like people here, and they might be dancing, yeah. It makes you feel happy. I think the mood that this picture creates is happy, yeah. Let's have a look and find out some more about this picture. Lavelle Boulier was a dance hall in Paris which Sonia and Robert frequently visited. This painting, which is over 3.5 metres long, shows a row of dancers under the dome lights. Sonia used shape and complementary colours to give the piece a sense of energy and movement. Can you see complementary colours, these dissimilar colours being used next to each other here, like red and yellow, and orange and purple here? Cerulean. Yeah, cerulean is being used here, isn't there? That's a great word for a colour. Lovely. And look at this picture now. This is entitled Marche au Mignon. Marche au Mignon. And look at the colours that have been used here. What do you think this is a painting of? And can you see complementary or harmonious colours being used here? Interesting, this one. What mood does it create? Yes, they might have used watercolour, or they might have used oil paints actually as well to make these. Good comment though. You think you see a lion? Oh, I think I could see an animal in there as well. Maybe not a lion though. Maybe another type of animal. Let's have a look. Whilst in Portugal, another country Sonia visited, she was inspired by the beauty of the country and painted this market scene. It's a market. Her vibrant use of colour and circles created a real sense of hustle and bustle. And can you see these complementary colours here again? These blues and reds that are very dissimilar. But then there are harmonious colours, like these similar yellows and oranges next to each other. And yes, I think you're right. Because it's a market, perhaps this is a bull. I can see why you thought lion though, whoever commented that. With these orange harmonious colours, it could be like a lion's mane, couldn't it? So here's another one. And this painting is called Prism Electrique. Prism Electrique. There's some amazing things going on here with complementary and harmonious colours. And some shapes. What do you notice? One of the things that I notice about this, and perhaps you've noticed this as well, are we're seeing these circles again. So circles and lines, do you see the lines intersecting these circles and these curved lines as well as straight lines? They seem to be strong features of Sonia Delauney's paintings, don't they? Well, this painting was inspired by newly installed electric lamp lights in Paris. And the Delauneys here, Sonia tried to recapture the feeling of the glow from the light of these new electric lamp lights, new at the time for Sonia anyway. And the shadows it cast, and can you see these dark colours here? Perhaps suggesting the shadows cast by these lamps. And look, can you see the outline of two figures walking towards the lights? Perhaps it's two figures walking here. Perhaps it's Sonia and Robert. So you can see here, using brighter and darker colours, primary colours like red, yellow and blue, next to secondary colours like purple and pink and green. Amazing. Such a striking effect. Well, we can see that, can't we, here, these are examples of Sonia's earlier work, and there is some use of complementary and harmonious colours, aren't there? But the pictures, as she went on, became more abstract, and her use of lines and circles and complementary colours became much, much more distinct, didn't it? And it's her slightly later work that we're going to be inspired by, I hope, today. And today we're going to explore use of colour and see what effects we can create. They're all happy. I agree. I feel happy looking at those works of art. So, it's time to have a look at what we're going to do together. And as I said today, if you've downloaded the worksheets via the description, that's great, but you don't need them. You can work on plain paper, or perhaps you've got a notebook or an artist's book that you like to work in, and pencils, and ideally if you have them colouring pencils today. But if you don't, like I don't, I'm using felt tip pens, and that's fine as well. You could also use any kinds of paints or chalks. Let's have a look at what we're going to do together. Included in today's worksheets are this colour card with some reminders about the colours on the colour wheel and what complementary and harmonious colours are. I might leave this up on screen while we're working away to remind you and help you as you create your own works of art. Look at this, this is worksheet 2A. This is one of the worksheets that you might like to use. And you can see here that some lines and circles have already been created for you. So if you like to use that and you're able to print it out, that's great. If not, don't worry. There's also a plain sheet here which you could use, or you could do something that I've done in my notebook, which is this worksheet 2C here. And that's drawing two boxes, because I want to explore using complementary, dissimilar colours in one, and harmonious, calming, similar colours in the other. If you think you know what to do, and you're ready to start creating, drawing circles and lines within each other, overlapping, intersecting, and then using some complementary or harmonious colours together, then please do get started. Okay, and while you're working together, or on your own perhaps, I'm going to keep talking and showing you what I'm doing today. I'm also going to show parents some things, but now it's time for you to go and create your works of art. So if you're ready, off you go. If you want a bit more inspiration, stick around with me. Okay, so parents, I'm just going to show a little bit more information for children that would like to keep on watching, or perhaps you just want to soak up a bit of extra advice from me in the background while you're creating your own works of art. So hopefully children are now starting to work on their own Sonia Delauney inspired works of art, either on worksheets or in books. I'll just show you now in my notebook how you could work if you're not able to print or choose not to print. And perhaps you can see here, I've divided my a page in my notebook in half. And I've started by, in pencil, drawing some lines, some curved lines, just like we saw in some of Delauney's work, and straight lines, and these circles intersecting each other. And on this side, I've started using complementary, dissimilar colours. Orange and blue, which I think are really striking because they're so dissimilar, and reds and greens, and these yellows, and I didn't have purple, but I have got pink. And over here on this side, I'm starting to play around with harmonious colours, so very similar tones of blue and different tones of green here, and the yellow. I actually started to think that the orange, even though it is harmonious with the yellow, was looking a bit too complementary here compared to some of the other colours. It really stands out, that orange, I think. So that's the only bit of orange I'm going to use on this page, and the rest I'm going to try and keep harmonious and similar. So I'm going to keep on doing some colouring now. I wish I had colouring pencils, but I don't. So I'm using felts. It's fine, whatever you're able to use. And then perhaps in about 10 minutes' time, once children have had a chance to draw some outlines of their own or shade on the outlines on worksheet 2A, perhaps if you have a moment, you could email in some pictures of children's fantastic work to homelearning@planbee.com, and we'll put that email address in the live chat as well, so you can copy and paste that. And hopefully, if there's some time, we can have a look at your Sonia Delauney inspired artwork in about 10 minutes time. So, I'm sure many of you are underway with your artwork already, but I'm just going to show you how you can start to create your own lines and circles. And I'm just doing this by hand. You could draw around something round if you have something, perhaps like the cap off a bottle, or something larger like the cap off, I don't know, a bottle of bubble bath or shower gel, or maybe you have a pair of compasses or a protractor, something with a curved edge that you could draw around. But if not, you can just do it by hand as well, that's fine. And that's what I'm going to do. I wanted to try something with another circle because I noticed something in Sonia's works of art which I'd like to try for myself. And that is circles, but they were actually divided crossways, like this. And I thought dividing it up like that was a really interesting way to create lots of different sections where I can do some harmonious colouring in and see what kind of effect I get there. Now mine is just abstract, but some of you might be trying to create things like animals and objects that you can see hinted at in Sonia Delauney's pictures. Remember the bull in the market scene? And the people walking towards the street lamps. So it's up to you. Either abstract entirely, just exploring and playing around with using colours, lines and shapes, or creating something where there's a little impression, an abstract pattern which hints at something real, like a bull, or in a market, or people walking down a lamplit street. I'm just going to add some colour now. A little bit more harmonious colour to my new circle I've drawn here, and I think I'm going to try using, let me see, I want to continue using some more yellow and light green, I think, because I like the effect of that. If you have a big set of colouring pencils, then you can play around with using even more harmonious colours than I have. Because of course with felt tip pens it's quite hard to mix your colours, and very often they don't come in as many, a set of felt tip pens like mine don't come in as many different shades as you get with a large set of colouring pencils. So you can try using even more similar harmonious colours than I can. But I'm just going to try with light green and yellow because I think they're not too dissimilar and I think they look quite nice and harmonious together. I'll just finish shading that now and see if you agree with me. There we go, so you can see I'm just starting to add yellow and green next to each other on my circle that was intersected by these straight lines. And I think they're quite harmonious. If we have a look at our colour wheel again, we can see, can't we, that yellow and light green are next to each other on the colour wheel, so they're harmonious. They create a calm, soothing effect when you look at it. Isn't it interesting the effect it creates looking at these different colours when you create a picture? So parents, I'm just going to allow another 5 minutes before we see if there are any emails. So there's no great rush to get those in for another minute or two. If you would like, or your children would like to share their picture during today's live session, there's no need to rush. Oh, look at that. From a distance, you can really see the different effects that strong complementary colours have compared to harmonious colours. There's still plenty of time for children to work for a minute or two before you need to send in an email. I'm just going to show you as well some information and advice, parents, that we have on PlanBee.com that might help you, especially now many of you have been doing learning at home for several weeks, just to freshen up the learning that you do and give you a few ideas. At PlanBee.com we have a blog, and there's a ton of advice on there, information and advice. We've been writing tips and advice to help teachers for many years now on our blog, but we actually have a large collection of articles to do with home education. And I'm going to share that link with you on the chat right now. There we are. I've just shared that link with you to our collection of home education articles. There's a ton of stuff on here that might give you some ideas. Perhaps there's something you're really struggling with teaching and learning at home, with your homeschooling. One of the things, as you can see actually here, we did a survey, and we know that keeping children engaged, interested in the learning is a real challenge. And so we've got some tips and advice in some other articles here to help with that, including, I'll just show you one now, some fun activities. Okay, and hopefully one or two of these ideas, I'm sure you've thought of some of these already, but there's some ideas that might inspire you. So there's links to some videos, some information about doing a little bit of computer coding at home, writing stories, making models. And here in this particular article, there's 5 arty ideas as well. So I would encourage you to go and have a look at our blog there, at the home education articles, to get some advice, tips and inspiration. Okay, I'm sure we are seeing some really good artwork coming in to the inbox now. Let's have a look. We'll just allow another minute or two if you would like to share your Sonia Delauney inspired artwork. The last thing I'd like to show you on this set of worksheets, which you can download freely from the description below, is the last page of it. Here, this is the electric prisms challenge card, and there's that picture of the electric lamp lights that Sonia Delauney painted. She was inspired by those electric lamp lights in Paris. And this is another idea that you could do to extend learning beyond today's live session here on YouTube. And you could try, if you have coloured card, or perhaps you have old packaging at home that you've not got rid of yet that you could cut out. That's colourful as well. So you can cut out different shapes, circles and semicircles and quarter circles using scissors. And with glue, you could place complementary or primary colours next to each other, or even try putting harmonious colours next to each other to create your own layered work of art inspired by the use of colour in this electric prisms picture. So just another idea to extend your art learning beyond today's session. I have a few emails in now, and we're going to just have a look at some beautiful artwork that you've created today. Please do feel free to carry on creating your works of art. while I share these with everybody. So first of all, I have something by Henry. Henry, welcome. Welcome back, I think, actually, Henry. And Henry's been creating, wow, loads of concentric circles ready to be shaded with complementary or harmonious colours here. And there's something hidden in here. Oh, there's an animal that's been hidden inside these shapes, a little bit like the abstract bull in the painting of the market that Sonia Delauney did. Can you see it? What if I move? Maybe now you can see it. It's a hidden owl. Lovely, Henry. Thank you so much for sharing. I bet that's going to be look really, really good if you coloured that in with complementary or harmonious colours. Thank you. We've also got Isabel. Welcome back, I believe, Isabel. And Isabel has worked on Worksheet 2A. Let's have a look at the colours she's used. And she's used felt tip pens, just like me. And wow, perhaps you can tell me in the chat here whether you think Isabel has mainly used harmonious or complementary colours. Very striking effect here, your choice of colours, Isabel. Thank you for sending that in. Lily, thank you for joining me, and I believe welcome back again. Here is Lily's lovely work in progress, and amazing how many curved and sort of parallel lines you've decided to include. This is going to be you've completely filled the page. Lovely. And I can see here that you're using, let's just compare this to Isabel's here, because Isabel has used lots of complementary, dissimilar colours here, and it creates a very strong, vibrant effect, doesn't it? But here, I can see that Lily has started to use some harmonious colours, these similar blues and greens and slightly purple here, and it creates a much more calming, gentle effect, doesn't it? Really interesting. Thank you both for sending those in. And let's have a look at another one. Emily. Welcome back, Emily. Thank you for sending in your artwork. And let's just have a look now. Please just bear with me a moment. Okay, let's have a look at Emily's lovely picture. And again, she's worked using the worksheet. And look at this. I'll move again so that you can see the whole thing. A fantastic use of a combination of complementary and harmonious colours. I love the different effects that creates. You're really playing around with the ideas here, which I like. You've used lots of different shades of blue here, but look at the way that these greens and reds contrast here. And the blue and orange here, just like I did actually. Lovely, thank you for sharing that. And let's have a look. Callie, welcome back, Callie. Callie has used colouring pencils here, and again is exploring using harmonious but also complementary colours. And look at that, that's lovely. Lovely to see you working there. It looks very nice and light and bright in the room you're working in. That's great for doing art, isn't it, when it's like that? That's lovely. Thank you for sharing that. It's nice, isn't it? It's fun colouring in these shapes and patterns. Abdullah, welcome. Thank you for sharing yours. Abdullah has worked on the Worksheet 2A as well, and I think I can see a combination of effects you've created here. Let's have a look. There we are. Thank you for joining me, Abdullah. This reminds me of something. The way that you've used harmonious reds and oranges and yellows here reminds me of something. It reminds me of the sun. Thank you for sharing that. And let's have a look. Abdul, thank you for joining me today for art. And we're going to have a look at yours now. Interesting, so you've used the same worksheet, but your choice of colours is very different. Here we are. So this is Abdul's. And look at this. Blues and greens, quite harmonious, and these greens very harmonious together there. Very different effect. Thank you for sharing that. Mariam, thank you for sending in your picture and welcome back. Here is Mariam's, and wow, Mariam, you've got some really bright, colourful pencils. Oh, I'd like a set like that. Look at these. Strong effect created with complementary colours here. Just look at how bright these greens and pinks are next to each other. It's a very striking effect, isn't it? Lovely, thank you. I bet that's going to look really lovely, completely coloured in. And Thomas. Welcome, Thomas. Thank you for taking part today. And look, here we go. Here's Thomas working in his dining room. That looks like a really nice art set that you have to use there. Lucky you. And look at this. I can see here that you've gone for quite a lot of harmonious colours next to each other, haven't you? It looks like you're using some watercolour as well. That's lovely. Well done. So, we're coming to the end of today's session. Thank you so much for joining me again. There are live sessions tomorrow at 11 and on Thursday as well. And like I said, via the enrolment form, which is I think one of the last links in the description below, you'll get up-to-date information about upcoming sessions for next week and the week after. But do come and join us at 11 o'clock tomorrow and on Thursday for our other live sessions. I hope to see you there again on one of those. And if you'd like to continue learning more about Sonia Delauney and her abstract art, you can, of course, get the rest of the lessons about her at planbee.com. So do check that out if you were inspired today and want to learn some more. You're very welcome to. And we're always ready to help and offer advice on that or anything else that you think you might want to teach and learn at home. So, wherever you are, I hope you have a wonderful afternoon. Thank you for joining me. Thank you, Abby, on the chat. Hope to see you all again soon. Bye-bye.